Hi there, this is Brian from Enlightenspeed here. We are just doing our next tips and tricks video, and we are showing you a setup that involves a kind of master and slave deal with MeloDramatik and Inspiral. And for the sake of completeness, we've also got a wee beat over here on this side, which is just drum sequencer going into note filter, note alter, note humanizer, and then onto the ID8 to give us a beat. It's basically a disco generator. So I'm going to give you a listen to it, and then I'll explain what's happening with each bit. So here we go. It's all sounding nice and funky there, as I'm sure you can agree. And even when you're randomising, you still end up with a pretty solid groove, almost regardless of the result. So how did we set this one up? Well, first of all, as I told you earlier on, the beat is just a normal drum sequencer loop. It's got some very basic automation to switch some slight note filtering on and off, some further automation for some very slight note altering. There's also a bit of velocity alter and a wee bit of humanizer here as well, which are both static. But the drums is just the ID8. Moving swiftly on, we have the more interesting stuff happening over on this side where we've got MeloDramatik and Inspiral. And they're actually working in tandem. What's happening is MeloDramatik itself is being powered first by the matrix. We just tab the rack here. We can see that we have the CV and the gate coming in from the matrix to MeloDramatik. This is going through CVPT, one of the free rack extensions from Electric Panda. It goes through there and then on to the electric bass. Now the CVPT doesn't change the notes at all. What it does do is, again, if we flip the rack, we can see that I've connected up the first 5 channels of it to a second CVPT which sits above the Inspiral, and Inspiral then goes into radical keys. So what you then have effectively is your note starting off down here in the matrix. So a simple pattern there. It goes into MeloDramatik. MeloDramatik messes around with it, including messing around with like the mute groove and this kind of thing. And then, well, that part goes onto the electric bass, but it's doubled up effectively by taking it out just before it gets to the bass and sticking it in on top of the Inspiral. So Inspiral's then powering up the Rhodes. Now the patch on the Inspiral isn't too complex, but it's got enough to make things interesting. And more importantly, you're getting chords and doubles, whereas obviously everything that's going into the bass is just single notes. So it's going to thicken things up a bit. And the rest of it's really just the mix, so that's pretty much all there is to it. Just a nice, easy way of getting a very strong groove template going. You could do the exact same if you were to bring it down to, say, let's say about 95, and it's this for hip hop, this kind of sound. So that's pretty much as you would expect. Very much a more kind of funk beat rather than hip hop itself. The beat itself over here would need a slightly different pattern for hip hop, but you get the idea. So again, the main thing to take from it, matrix into MeloDramatik, and from MeloDramatik into CVPT and onto Inspiral. And the format that you want to stick to there, just with regard to the instruments, because you've got matrix obviously starts off as mono, so you want your mono signal to be on the bass, and then once it becomes polyphonic, that's where you want to move it onto keys or strings, whatever you want to use. But that's us basically. Hope you've enjoyed the video. We'll be back with some more tips and tricks hopefully very soon. But in the meantime, thanks for tuning in, thanks for using Enlightenspeed. Take care, bye bye.